DIYers, what's going on? Mike Borders with the Mike Borders channel. Thank you for watching. Did you know that you can actually rent a slide hammer from your local AutoZone for free? You just buy it, use it, and then return it. You get all your money back. In today's video, we're going to give you a full review or tutorial. Let's take a look. DIYers, here we are at the workstation, and we have been busy. We are rebuilding a boat. Here is the outdrive, split up the lower unit and upper unit. And we've been busy. However, here is the slide hammer box or kit you can rent at your local AutoZone. You pay about $70, and when you return it, you get 100% of your money back. And here's some info. OEM tools for professional slide hammer 2/3 jaw puller set. This is the 27026. And taking a closer look at the wordage, it is used with slide hammer OEM 27033. Will handle both internal and external pulling jobs. In addition, it can be configured as a 2 or 3 jaw puller, which is cool. And here is some more information. This is made in Taiwan. Let's go and open it. Here it is opened up, and you can see the slide hammer itself. In most cases, they're between 2 and 5 pounds. And there's the threaded stud portion of the long slide bar. In addition, you've got miscellaneous parts here. You've got some hardware, bolts and nuts down there. And here are the puller jaws or teeth. And in our case, there's 3 of them. And this right here, as well as some nuts and bolts. At this point, I got a couple things laid out. I've got the 3 puller jaws, I got some nuts and bolts, and the 3-star or 3-point bracket or mount. And I'm going to start putting this together. These little puller jaws, you can actually insert them to where they grab a hold of something facing in, or you can have them facing out. In our case, we are removing a bearing and gear from a bearing carrier, and we need to have these puller jaws or teeth facing outward. So align the holes, and we're going to insert a bolt and secure the opposite end with a nut. And even being hand tight, you can still move these, which is nice. And you'll do these again for all 3. And at this point, you can see, once I squeeze all 3 of the puller jaw points together, or teeth points, having them loose up here will allow you to shift this into whatever you're putting it into. Again, in our case, a gear, and on the back side, a bearing. And this will go inside here, as shown, and it will go to the back side. From here, what I'm going to do is pull out the large hammer and rod. And this is where it gets kind of cool. I will shift that back, as well as the hammer portion. And before you tighten the nuts and bolts and secure the puller jaws and teeth to the internal portion of whatever you're trying to pull out, we are going to screw the threaded portion of the slide rod into the circular portion here. And as that rod makes its way through, it is going to make contact with all 3 of these puller jaws and extend them outward. And at that point, you're going to have a much better configuration, which will allow you to, again, be locked in place on whatever you're pulling out, and then you can secure the nuts and bolts. And I'm going to turn this way so you get a better view of it as I screw this bar in. Again, that bar is coming through, and once it gets all the way through, it's going to apply the pressure on the back side, extending all 3 of these jaws, so I won't have to hold it by hand anymore. It is now making contact with the puller jaws, and you can see as I turn that, it will continue to extend the jaws, and they are locked in place basically right now, as shown here. So from here, I can pick up the entire slide hammer bar and puller jaw kit, and that bearing and gear are not going to fall off, which is really cool. And at this point, you would secure and tighten all the bolts and nuts. Now to this piece right here, this acts as a handle at the very top up here. I'm going to position this, and as you can see, all it is a handle that goes through, so you have something to grab onto as you pull this slide hammer up the shaft to this beveled portion here, and that is what stops the slide hammer from going any further and alleviating it from hitting your fingers or hand. That would not be good, nor would that feel good. And from here, I'll turn it this way, and all you would do is, again, grab the handle, make sure both your fingers and hand are behind that beveled portion, and you would apply that pressure with the slide hammer. And these are incredible because these give some serious jolts or impact hits to whatever needs to come out, which is different than just pulling it and not having any jolt force. So for example, if I was just pulling this with one arm or both arms and not repeatedly jolting it, might not ever come out. However, with the slide hammer and the impact that this creates, it adds a lot of impact and jolt to the internal part or bearing that you are trying to pull out. And that is how it would work. I'm going to disconnect this puller jaw setup and I'm going to show you a different setup that you can use. Going back inside the box, I'm going to pull out the 2 jaw mount. And as you see here, there is a difference, 3-point, 2-point. I'll set the 3-point back in the box. And just like the 3-point, it has that circular threaded insert for the threaded stud portion of that long slide bar. And rather than 3 jaws being used, you're only going to use 2. And just like the 3-point bracket, you can have the puller jaws facing either inward, where the teeth are inward, or outward. Just to show you a difference. Put the bolts and nuts on and secure it. And we're left with 1 puller jaw. I will set that back inside the box. And the nut and bolt. And DIYers, there it is. There is the 2 jaw setup here. And we are going to screw it onto the threaded portion of the long slide bar. And just like before, as you can see, as you screw this long rod through the bracket, it makes contact with the puller jaws and extends them in place. So whatever you're trying to grab a hold of and remove, this rod really works to your advantage. And once you've inserted or screwed that rod in and these have extended in position to grab a hold of the part to come out, you can then secure the nuts and bolts. And at that point, it is again time to grab the back lever here and begin hammering. And the repeated jolts are awesome. Again, this is the 2 puller jaw setup. And DIYers, we actually use the 3-point bracket and set everything up, and we removed this bearing, thrust ring, and gear from this badly overheated and seized and damaged bearing carrier that took forever to get out of our lower unit. But we finally got it out, and after that, it was time to remove this entire assembly. And just a couple hits with this slide hammer, this entire assembly came right out of the bearing carrier. And scrolling above right now is a link to a video where you can see that exact procedure of pulling out this entire assembly using this exact slide hammer. Definitely check that out. Everything's back in the box, taking a step back, and DIYers, we hope this helped. Also down below in the comment section as well as the description section, you will find video links that show installing a swivel vise on a workbench. In addition, building a 6-foot Craftsman workbench, and adding drawers, all of which are awesome and really have come in handy over the amount of projects we do. Hopefully this helps. Below the video, you will see that thumbs up icon. Click on that, like the video, subscribe to the channel. Definitely ring your YouTube bell. We'd really appreciate it. Thanks again for watching. And again, if you're interested, check out that link that was scrolling above. We show you how to, again, use that slide hammer to remove that assembly.